Curtis, look at me. Curtis, look. I'm an interim champion. UFC interim champion. See? Coming to you pre-tape from the Best Coast Show studios. This is the Best Coast Show. I'm your host, Albert Aguilera. That's my producer, Curtis Stage. Curtis, I've decided to retire young. Thanks for the cheese. I'll catch you later.
Wait, so you were making money doing this show?
No, I was just saying that.
Should I retire as well?
No, we're only on episode 41, and I just uploaded our episodes to the podcast sound system for SoundCloud. So, you can't retire.
So, you're gonna have an empty, so BCS 42, we're episode 41 right now.
Right.
BCS 42, you will have an empty chair.
As it stands right now, yeah.
Should we have Dave, our social media director, coordinator, fill in for you?
No, I don't think he'd be able to.
All right, so no filling in. Dave's not our social media coordinator. He's our director.
No, he's a coordinator.
He's
Director.
No, coordinator. No, it's like what you're doing is you're trying to give yourself a fancy title so your LinkedIn looks better, and it's like, oh, look at me, I'm a director. I can use Twitter.
Yeah.
No, coordinator.
Okay, so social media coordinator.
Coordinator.
But he's actually running the show.
Right. He claims he's a social media director. Social media coordinator. Okay, it's just a fancy title for LinkedIn.
So we are having a UFC episode today, Albert, and we're going to be talking UFC 197, a recap. Barboza defeat Pettis. We had that happen. Mighty Mouse defeats Cejudo. Jones defeated OSP. We also have Jones just got announced versus DC in UFC 200. And McGregor retires, then he unretires. What's going on there? He's out of UFC 200. Dana White's like, you're not in this one. But let's start with a recap of UFC 197.
All right, guys, UFC 197, we were all pretty excited to see this because it was the return of Johnny Bones Jones. But one fight that went under the radar was the spinning shit that everyone was looking forward to versus Pettis, and Pettis versus Barboza. And that was the hashtag, spinning shit, because these two guys, you watch them fight, Curtis, and they're very creative in how they throw their kicks. They throw very dangerous kicks. Yeah. I mean, Anthony Pettis, they call him Showtime. He uses very unorthodox methods to throw kicks, throw punches. He uses the cage, to scale off of it and throw kicks. Yeah. Very, very exciting.
He's doing crazy stuff.
The fight, not so exciting.
He's like doing like Ultimate Fighter things, like a video game type thing.
Right.
But there was no payoff, actually.
There was no payoff in this case. I mean, Anthony Pettis goes down. It's his third consecutive loss in the UFC. And
is he done now? I mean,
it's difficult to say. I mean, in the lightweight division, we talk about this all the time. The UFC's lightweight division is the most stacked division, followed by the featherweight division. And Khabib is back. Ferguson it was supposed to fight against Khabib, but he got hurt. But he's ready to rock in a couple of months. And then you have Eddie Alvarez. He's fighting against RDA.
That's what I'm saying.
You have Donald Cerrone. It's such a deep division. Yeah, this isn't heavyweight where you can lose one or two fights and then win one or two and then automatically find yourself in title contention again. At lightweight for Anthony Pettis, this guy. First MMA fighter ever to be on a Wheaties box. This guy was the golden child that the UFC was trying to promote as George St. Pierre was leaving. Yeah. This guy was on a Wheaties box. He gets on the box. RDA beats him for the title. He's lost now 3 in a row. And
he's not on the Wheaties. He's not getting on any boxes anytime soon.
Right. So what does Anthony Pettis do now? Now he can. I mean, this guy at one point won 9 out of 10 fights. He was a WEC champion. He came over to the UFC. He became the UFC champion. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, in this fight with Barboza, it wasn't very exciting, this fight. Both of them were very cautious. They were extremely respectful of each other.
Why?
Because they both know they can knock each other out with a leg kick. I mean, you see the way Barboza throws kicks. I mean, Anthony Pettis' inner thigh was destroyed.
Yeah. That was,
I mean, he kept taking, kicks to the legs, kick to the thighs, kick to the midsection. And Anthony Pettis never really got within range. He didn't do enough damage. He wasn't really landing. And to keep him at bay, Barboza was just throwing those inside leg kicks. And Anthony Pettis is thigh it looked like you beat him with a bat.
Yeah.
And he goes, they go 3 rounds. He loses all 3 rounds in a decision. And I don't know what's next for Anthony Pettis. I mean, he was ranked 3rd at the time. Barboza was ranked 8th. That's a great victory for Barboza. I think he cracks the top 5. But the lightweight division is really deep. Who do you give Anthony Pettis where you say, hey, this is a name brand fighter. Yeah. Why don't you fight this guy? Try to rebuild yourself. But trying to rebuild yourself in the lightweight division is difficult because one win is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, because they're so good.
And Anthony Pettis has a history of being hurt. So Anthony Pettis has potentially set himself back years.
How old is Pettis? Do we know how old he is?
Oh, I don't know. He's got to be in his late 20s.
Yeah. Barboza's younger, right? Is he younger?
I honestly have no idea how old Barboza is.
Huh.
I'm assuming they're about the same age. But
Pettis needed to win that fight.
He needed to win this fight, and he's never lost 3 fights in a row in his career. And losing 3 fights in the lightweight division, you set yourself back years.
Exactly. Now, what about Mighty Mouse? I like Mighty Mouse, and he won.
And he
Are you
did.
excited about him?
Guys, I tell you time and time again, Mighty Mouse, in my opinion, he's 1 or 2 in the pound-for-pound fighter list with Jon Jones.
Yeah.
He is the best technical fighter on the UFC roster, only he gets no respect because he's fighting at 125 pounds.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, hey, Henry Cejudo, he's an Olympic gold medalist wrestler.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Mighty Mouse, he's a wrestler too. He's a striker, blah, blah, blah. But Cejudo is going to give him a challenge, and he didn't.
No.
He put away Cejudo in the first round. He let Cejudo engage with him the first 2 times because that's what Cejudo wanted to do. He wanted to wrestle him. He eventually did get Mighty Mouse to the ground. Mighty Mouse was on his back,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Could happen.
Something could happen here.
Yeah.
Something could happen here. But no, I mean, the third engagement, Mighty Mouse engaged with him, locked him up, threw a knee to the liver, and that totally rocked Cejudo. It crippled him down, knee to the face, and that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows you how well-versed Demetrius Johnson is. He goes, oh, you're an Olympic gold medalist at wrestling?
Whatever.
Let me out-wrestle you in the clinch, and let me just destroy you.
Yeah. The knee to the face kind of helped a little
Well,
bit.
that does help.
You don't do that in wrestling.
Right.
There's no knees to the face.
Now, so
I mean, you could.
You're
but-
wondering, okay, what's next for Mighty Mouse?
Yeah.
There's no one left in that division, so they announced in the new season of Tough that the winner of that Tough class will get a shot at the belt. But why?
Yeah.
I mean, do I believe that anyone that's going into that house, are they better than Benavidez? Are they better than Cejudo? Are they better than Dodson?
Yeah.
No.
So
I don't think so. So it's like, I guess they're doing it just to keep Ultimate Fighter relevant. I mean, I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes of every season of The Ultimate Fighter, and then it just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a new gimmick. They've never done that before, where the winner goes on to face the current champion.
Yeah.
So that could be a thing. I mean, when the women came in with the strawweight class, the winner of the house would become the first ever champion, but never has there been the winner of the house fighting for the championship belt.
Yeah, but Mighty Mouse, he probably made some good money on that fight, so
Probably.
he could probably take a little bit of a break and kind of assess. And could he go up a class?
He used to fight at 135 before the 125
yeah.
class was brought in. His last loss was to Dominic Cruz for the 135 belt.
Okay.
Dominic Cruz is back. A lot of people
Yeah.
are saying, hey, 5 years later, let's get this fight going.
Because that could
Dominic
draw
Cruz
some
is
interest.
back.
People might be
Dominic
excited
Cruz
about
is
that.
back. Dominic Cruz is healthy, but he has a fight with Uriah Faber. I think it's like Uriah Faber's 50th title fight or something. Uriah Faber just constantly in title fights. But there are a lot of guys at 135 that Dominic Cruz still has to fight. But it would be great to see that fight. Demetrius Johnson versus Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz is saying, hey, the last person to beat Mighty Mouse was me.
Yeah.
How come I'm not in the pound-for-pound discussion? And he's not in the pound-for-pound discussion because he's been hurt 3 of the last 5 years.
Exactly.
That's the only reason why. In my opinion, Dominic Cruz is a fantastic fighter, very methodical fighter. He's very accurate, he's very fast, very strong. Like, he will dominate and continue to dominate his division. It's just you have to stay healthy. I can't legitimately say, oh, you're a pound-for-pound fighter if you haven't fought in 3 of the last 5 years.
Yeah, but it would be a kind of an interesting matchup, and I think Mighty Mouse. I mean, I think that is probably where he needs to go. I mean, it seems like
there's
that's
nobody left for him at 125.
Exactly.
But here's the thing: you moving up 10 pounds to 135 doesn't.
What if he
seem,
loses,
It
though?
doesn't seem like a big deal. But the guys that he being 5'5", 5'6",
Yeah.
and then you have. I don't even think he's 5'5", 5'6", but then you have someone like Dominic Cruz who's 5'9". Not only do you as
longer
Mighty Mouse
reach, longer
exactly,
everything,
you
yeah.
have to deal with someone's technical abilities at another weight class, but you also then have to deal with someone's physical size.
Yeah.
That's a thing. And going from 125 to 135, the guys are going to be just as fast.
Well, and if Cruz wasn't, like you said, Cruz is a technical fighter. If he wasn't as technical, maybe Mighty Mouse could use his technical skill to kind of, but it's tough when the physicality that,
Yeah, because at 125, he's the same size as all the other fighters, but he's light years ahead of them in terms of technique. And he uses that to his advantage at all times. So what's next for Mighty Mouse? I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's going to be the winner of the new Tough season.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping the UFC could find someone, maybe someone overseas, out of an Asian league.
Someone in Japan.
Yeah, someone in
That'd be
Japan
good.
that can come over and at least at least give him a run for his money.
Exactly. Now, what about Jones versus OSP?
All right, guys, Jon Jones, he's back. 15-month layoff. We were really excited to watch him fight. I was really excited to watch him fight. DC unfortunately pulled out because of that thing in his leg. So Ovince St. Preux steps in. Ovince St. Preux at the time, I believe, was ranked 6th. Jon Jones was ranked number 1 in the lightweight division. This was for the interim title. Interim title, I don't like interim titles.
What does interim title mean?
I mean, it's like, it's a placeholder. It's like, hey, just in case, like,
yeah.
There was no need for an interim title because it's not like DC tore his ACL. DC was not going to be out for a year, 12 months, 13 months, whatever.
Here, really.
Yeah, his injury was going to set him out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Whatever. Interim belt, I guess, Dana White comes out and says, hey, we're going to do an interim belt because Jon Jones never lost his belt in the octagon.
Well, that's true.
We stripped it because of his legal issues. Okay, and listen, I acknowledge that Jon Jones is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He is the best light heavyweight on the planet. He is the UFC champion, in my opinion. He never lost the belt in the octagon. Daniel Cormier, in my opinion, fought for an interim belt when he beat Rumble Johnson.
Yeah.
So this interim that he fought Ovince St. Preux for, it was like, the reason there's interim, in my opinion, besides the look, fancy shiny thing, look at this, and giving a gimmick to a fight. In my opinion, the reason to have an interim title belt is so that the interim champion now has a physical piece of something that shows, hey, look at me, I am the number 1 contender. The champion has to fight me to unify. Someone's not going to leapfrog me because I am the current interim champion.
That's true.
So that's how I see an interim belt. It's a permanent placeholder for you to guarantee you a shot at a championship. Because in the UFC, in the fight game, there are no guarantees. Yeah. There are no guarantees for anything.
Well, yeah, and they can strip your championship.
Right.
I mean, they're not stripping the Patriots because of Deflategate of the Super Bowl champion.
Hey, interim champion. Yeah. Who did they beat? Who did they beat in the Super Bowl that year?
I don't know, whatever.
I don't know. Interim champions, NFC team, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, this fight with Jon Jones, Ovince St. Preux, I mean, Jon Jones wins a decision. Everyone expected him to throttle Ovince St. Preux. Jon Jones looked a lot bigger. He looked a lot stronger. And the question came up, is he going to get gassed? He didn't get gassed, but you could see that he was getting tired in the later rounds. You could say it was ring rust.
Was he getting tired or was he getting bored?
It was getting boring because and people were booing the fight.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing was happening. Jon Jones wasn't engaging. He wasn't engaging. Whenever he would land something, he wasn't then trying to maul St. Preux. And then St. Preux was landing his lefts. He was doing it from time to time. He showed some good takedown defense. Mm-hmm. But he was completely outclassed. And, OSP was getting tired in the later rounds. OSP eventually, we later found out that he fought the 4th and 5th round with a broken arm. He took a kick from Jon Jones, and he broke his arm. So even with the broken arm, I'm thinking, at what point did you not realize that you could just steamroll this guy and just wreck him? But Jon Jones said it. He was being overly cautious. He didn't want to get caught. He knew what was up for grabs with this. And you look, and it was very, disappointing, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited to see the pound-for-pound fighter in the world just wreck somebody, maul somebody.
And the dude already had a broken arm.
And he had a broken arm.
But he didn't know that.
He didn't. And yet at light heavyweight, everyone has a puncher's chance at light heavyweight because you're coming in at 205 pounds. You rehydrate. You're 220 the day of the fight.
Yeah.
You punching someone in the face at 220 pounds, you can knock him out. So I understand Jon Jones' concern for I don't want to get caught, but you're in there to fight.
Exactly. Now let's talk about McGregor. This was the big news last week, retiring. And then unretiring. What's going on here? Is this a power play that McGregor's doing? I mean, he is the most famous fighter right now. I mean, Jones may be the best fighter in the world, pound for pound, but McGregor by far is the most recognizable fighter.
I mean, he is. He put out a tweet last week. Hey, I'm retiring young. And the internet went crazy.
Yeah, I texted you. I was like, what the hell?
It got more. I was in Vegas when this happened, so like my phone started blowing up and everyone's like, what the hell's going on? And I was like, I don't know. Like I didn't see the tweet. Everyone alerted me to the tweet.
Yeah,
and then
I saw the tweet.
And I started, okay, let me look into this. And it got more tweets, more retweets, favorites, all that stuff than Kobe Bryant's retirement tweet. Okay, that's how big this is. And then that's
because we wanted Kobe to retire.
Yeah, but true, we did. But and then the national mainstream media started running with this. It wasn't just Fox Sports and ESPN, TMZ Sports.
Well, it got the attention of them because now they're announcing shows. Now they're announcing UFC on Good Morning friggin' America.
Yeah, exactly. On Good Morning America. Yeah. So it just shows you how big of a name Conor McGregor is. So he decides to retire, blah, blah, blah. And his head coach, John Kavanagh, was on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani on Monday, and they asked him about it. And he said that Conor McGregor walked into practice late, and he said, "Hey, let's do these drills." And he told him straight out, he goes, "I've retired." And he goes, at that point, I knew it wasn't a joke. Conor was not joking around because at the time, this is where one of his teammates had just fought in Ireland, and Conor was cage side, and the opponent ended up passing away after the fight.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. And Conor McGregor's always been very big.
But I thought it was a practice thing for him, that he's practicing where?
He's out in Iceland right now. That's where his training camp is. And one of the things.
Wait, why? There's like 12 people. Is it because he doesn't want to be around people?
He doesn't want to be around people because he later released a statement. But Conor McGregor, even when he was talking about Jose Aldo before the Nate Diaz fight, he said, Aldo needs to take a year off because you can't take punches to the head like that.
No.
Prior to coming to the UFC, Conor McGregor was considering retirement because a lot of his teammates were getting concussed, and long-term effects of concussions, like we've seen them, like you get Alzheimer's and it just debilitates you.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were speculating, okay, that might be it. And then he's out training in Iceland with his team, and he was saying, when he released his statement, I need to go back to the drawing board. What I was doing up to the Nate Diaz fight originally with the 100 interviews and the million photo shoots and blah, 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 and this and that.
So it's distracting.
It was distracting. And in that leading up to that fight, he was saying, I'm going to butcher his body. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. In the fight, he didn't do that. He stayed away from his own tactic, which, assuming he would have stayed with his tactic, I believe he would have won that fight. We saw the fight. He won the first 7 minutes of that fight. He got gassed. He said, hats off to Nate. Nate was more efficient in how he uses energy. So now that he's training out in Iceland, he's like, I need to focus because I'm fighting a larger opponent, a longer opponent, an opponent with more stamina. I need to reevaluate my diet so I don't dirty bulk. That's what he did last time. He didn't have to diet, so he just ate whatever. And he goes, I have to train with my efficiency, with my energy. And he said, listen, I'll do the event in New York, but I don't want to go to Vegas because
it's too far. New York's closer to Iceland. Where is Iceland again?
I have no idea. It's somewhere. I don't know.
Is it by Wisconsin?
No, it's not by Wisconsin. It's somewhere in Europe. It's in the north side of Europe.
We don't know where Wisconsin is.
I don't know. Give me a map, and then I might be able to put Iceland out to you. Maybe.
But the thing about it is, I get it. But see, the thing is UFC. He's the biggest draw right now for this brand.
And he said it. He goes, I don't have to go to Vegas.
Does he think he's bigger than the brand?
I don't think he thinks he's bigger.
Who's bigger?
Look, people were not going to Eagles games, to Cowboy games to watch Terrell Owens. They were there to see the Eagles. They were there to see the Cowboys. Now, in the fight game, it's different. Yeah. When a UFC card is coming up, I don't say, hey, Curtis, UFC 199 is coming up. Let's get it. I say, no, the main event is blah, blah, and the co-main is, in this case, UFC 199 is going to be here at the Forum with Rockhold and Weidman, and I think we should go to that.
That'd be fun.
Conor McGregor said it. He goes, look, the Dana White came out and said, we set aside $10 million for this, blah, blah, blah. And Conor goes, with one tweet, I saved you $10 million. And everyone's out there at this press conference, and he was watching the press conference. He tweeted, hey, I got respect for you guys being out there, but no one on that stage made the company $400 million in the last 8 months, in his last 3 fights. I mean, he fought 3 times in 8 months. Who does that? No, nobody does that. If your name is not Donald Cerrone, you are not fighting multiple times a year the way Conor McGregor has.
Couldn't he just Skype in?
That's what I was saying. I was like, just Skype in, put him up on the TV and whatever.
People would watch it.
But the UFC wanted him there. He said, hey, I don't want to go to Las Vegas. I'll meet you guys in New York, because John Kavanagh, his coach, was saying, if we go to Las Vegas from Iceland, that's going to ruin weeks worth of training. If we go to New York, no issue. We turn it into a weekend trip. We show up Friday. We're there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We fly back Sunday. It's not a huge deal. But Iceland to Las Vegas, huge deal. A lot of the fighters that were at the presser, they have their training camps in New Mexico. They have their training camps in Northern California, in Southern California, in Colorado, in Las Vegas. They're a 50-minute, 1-hour plane ride away.
Maybe McGregor needs to rethink where his training camp is.
But he lives out in Ireland. I mean...
Well,
if
he's making his money here, though, and
it's true, but like they said, his coach was saying, the UFC. I understand the UFC is based out of Las Vegas, and the fight capital of the world is Las Vegas.
Although New York City is going to be in the mix.
MSG, UFC 205, which Dana White said McGregor's not allowed to fight in either, which is totally like
what
exactly, right?
That would be what you want, right?
But it's really weird because, you have the interim title belt coming up at UFC 200 with Frankie Edgar and Jose Aldo. That's in July. And he said that Conor McGregor is going to fight the champion or fight the winner of that for the champion to unify. But then he said, look, he's not going to fight at UFC 200. he won't fight at UFC 205, Madison Square Garden in November, but that he might fight in the summer, which makes no sense to me because if this is in July, that winner in July is not going to fight in August.
Yeah.
And if they can't fight in November at MSG, I mean, if Frankie Edgar
They're
wins...
going to wait all the way for a year to fight McGregor?
That's stupid.
I mean,
If Frankie Edgar wins in July and he beats Jose Aldo, becomes the interim champion, Conor McGregor versus Frankie Edgar should headline UFC 205 at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That makes sense.
And that's probably what will happen. This is all a marketing thing.
It's
I
all
think.
marketing. It's a power play.
It totally is. I mean, what about Jones versus DC in UFC 200? Because now
that was just announced as the main event, and DC was saying how in the event that he and Jones got booked for that, he doesn't believe that Conor McGregor could put on because of the way that they split pay-per-view points. There wouldn't be enough points to go around.
I agree with that.
Miesha Tate is also getting pay-per-view points for the first time as champion, and it would be in every fighter who's getting points best interest to say, Conor, come fight on this card.
Yeah, but I get it because they want to be the main draw. They're the big guys. They want to be the main draw.
Yeah, but how many points do you think Miesha Tate is going to get now versus if Conor McGregor were on the card?
Yeah, that's true.
It's a ton of money. And these fighters
can't fight in every fight.
He can't fight in every fight, but he was set, ready to go. And this is not till July. We're in April.
Yeah.
There's no reason why this can't get fixed.
And maybe it will. I mean, maybe it will.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, everything in the fight game changes.
But then McGregor wins, kinda. Doesn't he?
Does he? Wait, does he win?
I don't know.
Listen, if I have a dispute with an employee and this employee is being a little brat or this employee doesn't want to show up to a seminar, this employee says, hey, you know what? I can't work overtime this weekend, blah, blah, blah. But this employee then turns around and makes me $100 million in one day?
Fine with that.
Whatever. Whatever.
So, I'm excited about Jones versus Cormier. I mean, those guys hate each other. They're
hilarious.
The fight in the hotel lobby with the shoe throwing. That's awesome. Like I like that just as good as what they did. What they're doing in the ring. But this is going to be a good one because I think it just UFC needs these kind of epic battles between two dudes that hate each other, grudge matches, and this is good. I still think Jones wins that fight, but Cormier,
the Jones that showed up last Saturday, does not win that fight.
No, he might
not.
Like
in the first fight, I was thinking, okay, Jon Jones, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he's younger, he has a significant reach advantage. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, well, DC trains at AKA, he trains with the heavyweight champion, he won the heavyweight Grand Prix, he's used to fighting guys that are bigger. He then manhandled Gustafsson and Rumble Johnson. Yeah. Those were great fights. And I was like, okay, him fighting Jon Jones, let's see what'll happen. But he was so concerned when showing Jon Jones that he could out-wrestle Jon Jones that he was not trying to win that fight. He was so concerned in trying to take Jon Jones down that when he finally did, he threw his hands up like he did something. And it's like, what are you doing, stupid? You're down at the...
Right.
It was in the fourth round, I think.
Yeah,
I go, you're down 3 rounds to 1.
I got him down.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Now, this is almost 2 years later now that this fight's going to happen, this rematch. And I think DC is going to go in there more prepared. He's going to go in there looking to beat him as opposed to trying to out-wrestle him or whatever. Because he was doing the commentary for UFC 197, and he studied Jon Jones really, really well.
Sure.
Like, he was telling Rogan and Goldie, look, he's going to do this, he's going to do that, he's trying to set this up, and sure enough, that's what Jon Jones is doing. So he's a really smart fighter. He's a very athletic guy. He's a strong guy. He's got a lot of brute force and strength. He's got good technique. So this time around, I think he's got a better chance of beating Jon Jones, especially if Jon Jones doesn't concentrate.
Yeah, he's probably the only guy right now that could maybe beat him. I don't think Jones is going to lose, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be exciting. So that's good. I mean, at least Dana White, at least they kind of covered their ass a little bit by with this kind of falling into their laps. So that's good. I mean, that saved this because UFC 200 was going to be okay.
And I'm thinking, where the hell's Robbie Lawler? Robbie Lawler doesn't have a fight booked yet, and George St. Pierre apparently has been talking to the UFC.
But they can't add him now because we've already got a full...
You don't know that.
Okay, all right, cool. What's our gift of the day?
All right, guys, our gift of the day, this is Jon Jones making his way to the octagon, stops by to say hello to his friend's family, and then punches a woman in the face.
He didn't really punch her in the face.
He punched her in the face. His fist touched her, and she was a little rocky. She was like, ugh. But
his sister, though.
She took it like a champ. I don't know who that woman is, though, but she knows him because she hugged and kissed him. But she took it like a champ, and he couldn't knock her out the same way he couldn't knock out Ovince St. Preux because of the ring rust, and, he was probably overly cautious when he went in to hug her. He didn't want to engage. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, we're on SoundCloud.
But
We're
we
gonna
are,
be on
guys.
iTunes.
That's been our episode, and we are now officially on SoundCloud. We'll be on iTunes soon, so find us on SoundCloud at the Best Coast Show. Stalk us on Twitter at Best Coast Show. That's been our show, and you guys have a good night.